Hello, dear students. Welcome to the today's geography session. Yesterday we have started with our new lesson number 4 or number 7 soils. Yes or no? So we could just finished the factors which were necessary for soil formation. We have just started with the introduction of the lesson and we saw that two factors, parent rock and regional climate, that is on page number 39 of your textbook. So be ready with your textbook, page number 39. Okay, we saw how there are soil is not actually formed. It is not, we always consider that soil exists in the nature as it is. No, actually there is a process through which soil is formed. And what is the process? We have seen there are some factors which are affecting and influencing for the soil formation. So first factor in that we studied parent rock. Then the second factor we studied regional climate. Parent rock, in that we saw that it is a very important factor in the soil formation. From the rock, due to the weathering of the rock, it gets turned into powdery form. The rock is then starts turning into powdery material, and which then turns into earthy material, and this way the soil is formed. So in short, weathering of rocks happen, and this weathering of rocks will happen according to the existing climatic conditions in that region. So even climatic conditions of that region is a very important factor that is affecting or that is necessary for the soil formation. Let us study. I told you, in the climatic region, if it is very heavy rainfall, then the weathering of rock will be fast. Yes, because rainfall, the water percolates into the rock, and leaching process, that is, leaching means what? Percolating of water into rock, and then the weathering of rock is happening. So that will take more fast as compared to the regions which are having climate as hot and humid. Fine. Now let us continue with our topic, biotic material. Same page number 39. Biotic material. The weathering of rock turns them into powdery material, but this powdery material is not soil. So see now, the weathering of rock will turn that rock into powdery material, but this powdery material is not soil. Yet something has to be happened further so that it will get converted into soil. So just remember, first rock, due to the weathering of rocks, it turns into powdery material, and then further what happens so that we will get soil. Let us study this para. To turn such powdery material into soil, it is necessary that biotic materials get mixed into it. What should get mixed into it? Biotic materials. Okay, so now what are biotic materials? Some relating to or resulting from living organisms. Anything which is coming from the living organisms or resulting from the living organisms is called as biotic. Okay, so such materials which are coming from the living organisms are called as biotic materials. So these materials get mixed into soil. So let us see which are these materials. The biotic materials comes from the decomposition of the remains of the plants and animals in that region. Now what happens? Everywhere in the region there are trees, there are animals in the surrounding or in that region. So what happens? The plants they become dry, then their leaves fall off on the ground, and their branches, their twigs, many things, their roots, sometimes the trees are uprooted. So many parts of the plants are fallen on the ground, the dead parts of the plants, right? And even animals, sometimes what happens, like we know, every living thing which is born on the earth is going to die one day. So same way, whenever animals, birds, any animal life, when they are dying, so what happens? Their dead body is remaining on the ground, right? So what happens on the ground? This powdery material of the rock is there, and on the ground these dead plants, remains of animals, they decompose. Okay, decompose in this powdery material, and then this decompose यानी क्या, वहाँ पे पड़े पड़े सड़ना. Okay, so this decomposition gives rise to something called, we will learn this, So just understood up till here that decomposition happens of what? Of the remains of the plants and animals in that region. The vegetal litters, roots of plants, remains of animals, etc. get decomposed due to water. Now how this decomposition happens? It is just not that the remains of plants and animals are there on the ground and it immediately decomposition. No, on that, water is also falling. Whenever it is raining, water is also falling. Yes or no? So this decomposition takes place due to water. Microorganisms and certain other organisms help decompose the dead remains of organic materials. Now जब भी whatever, whenever the decomposition is happening, certain microorganisms are getting arised. Yes or no? जैसे हम बोलते हैं कोई भी चीज़ जब वहाँ पे सड़ती है तो वहाँ पे सब ऑर्गेनिजम्स तैयार होते हैं ना, कीड़े मकोड़े सब तैयार होते हैं ना. येस और नो? सो दोज आर कॉल्ड माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स. सो दीज माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर there and certain other organisms, they also help the decomposition process. Okay, so these microorganisms and certain other organisms help decompose the dead remains of organic materials. So this way the decomposition of the plants and animals remains happen with the help of water, with the help of microorganisms and certain other microorganisms. The biotic material thus produced gets mixed into soils and is called humus. Now what happens after this decomposition? The material produced, that is the biotic material, gets produced and it gets mixed into soil, and that is called as humus. This soil is actually very fertile soil. The humus which is created after the decomposition and gets mixed, that biotic material which is got after the decomposition gets mixed into soil, and that soil becomes soil actually, but fertile soil. Okay, if the and that is called as humus. If the proportion of humus in the soil is greater, the soils become fertile. Okay, so what happened after the decomposition process? This humus is called, and if the soil is in greater proportion, then the soil becomes fertile. Means more the humus in the soil, more the soil will be fertile. So understood how much important is this process of decomposition to make the soil fertile? Fine. The process of decomposition by living organisms takes place continuously. This process is going on continuously. Okay. Nowadays, production of vermicompost is undertaken on a large scale. Now, what do you mean by vermicompost? Vermicompost is also a product obtained after decomposition. A decomposition process के बाद what material we get, biotic material, that is called as vermicompost, and it is that decomposition is taking by place of worms. Worms act in the soil, red worms, white worms, earthworms, all these organisms, they are helping in the process of decomposition, and they create a mixture of decomposing material, and that is called as vermicompost. So nowadays this production of vermicompost is done on a large scale. Try to understand the process of producing vermicompost or compost. Yes, you can find out on YouTube or any other Googles. You can search how is the process happening, or the how is the vermicompost produced. Production of compost needs sufficient period of time and elements like organic waste, water, heat, etc. So now also we saw before this that decomposition process will not happen just because the remains of plants and animals are there on the ground. They will need water, they will need heat, they will need microorganisms, yes, and many other organic elements. Organic elements we saw: twigs, branches, remains of plants, anything remains of animals, dead bodies, their skin, their flesh, their bones, everything whatever is remaining, okay, that is called as organic waste. So all these factors, all these elements are needed, and this decomposition process is not a 1 day or 2 day, it is a very long process and it needs sufficient period of time. Fine, hope you have understood this decomposition process. Okay, time. Soil formation is a natural and slow process. It needs a very long period of time. So soil formation is not done in a one month or 2 month. It is a very long and natural process, and it happens very slowly. Okay, it needs a long period of time to form a 2.5 centimeter thick layer of topsoil. Just 2.5 centimeter on the scale, you can see 2.5 centimeter how much it is. To form that much thick layer of topsoil, it takes thousands of years. Can you imagine, just to take 2.5 centimeter on the scale, you see? Okay, you are having your scale in the compass now. 2.5 centimeter thick layer of soil to form, it takes thousands of years. From this you may understand that soils are invaluable. So how much soil is valuable, yes or no? In the region of high rainfall and higher temperatures, the process of soil formation is faster. I told you, where there is heavy rainfall, then temperatures are high, there process of soil formation will be faster. Comparatively, in regions of low temperatures and low rainfall, soil formation takes more time. Okay, so where there is low rainfall, temperatures are low, soil formation will take little more time. Humans use the soil gifted by nature as a resource. It is mainly used for agricultural purpose. Yes or no? The soil is gifted by nature, and it is our natural resource. So we mainly use this soil for agriculture. For getting higher production, different types of chemical fertilizers, insecticides are used profusely. What do you mean by profusely? Means in large amounts, to a great degree. Okay, in large amounts, this insecticides, chemical fertilizers are used so that we can get higher production. But what happens, using of these chemical fertilizers, insecticides in large amounts actually decrease the fertility of the soil. However, this leads to the degradation of soils. Degradation means what? Wearing down of the soil. The soil becomes less fertile. So use of high chemical fertilizers, pesticides, for higher production they are using, but actually it reduces the fertility of the soil. It leads to degradation of soil. Okay, so I will stop here today and continue in the next session. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye for now.